sure. I don't think that a veteran retired wrestler arguing with people on Twitter is news. So it's not something I want to cover very often, but people wanted to hear us talk about it. So here we are. All right, let's get to the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame. We're going to send it home on this. Yes, JD and I are Hall of Fame voters. We voted last year. Let me tell you guys who got in last year. So 2024, we saw Roman Reigns, who I voted for, Shingo from the Japan category, Paul Orndorff, which I think JD and I, both of us, actually, we're the ones that got him in, right? Like we're taking credit.
It was like 3 votes that got him in or something like that.
Yeah.
Mike and I, we've both guessed on other people's pods and we're pushing Paul Orndorff in the Hall of Fame. So that's on us.
Yeah, for sure. We did that shit. Well, I think Paul Orndorff had a hand in it, but like mostly us. Johnny Rougeau, the Young Bucks, who I voted for Johnny and I voted for Young Bucks. Los Hermanos Dinamita, who I did not vote for because I don't vote in the Mexican category. Shima from the Japan category. Johnny Saint from the UK category. And then, of course, Bobby Davis, the most influential manager in pro wrestling history. He finally made it.
We also were big for that because Mike, you and I both pushed for Bobby Davis, and he got it by a handful of votes too.
Yeah, there's a kid on Voices of Wrestling, Jesse. What's his last name? Jesse.
What's Collingsworth?
Collings. Jesse Collings.
Sorry.
Yeah, he actually wrote a pretty good article about that too. So I want to give him a shout out. I just remember really enjoying his article about Bobby Davis.
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna get started with the historical performers era candidates. So I told you last year who got in. So this year we got Ole Anderson, Afa and Siga, Bullet Bob, Arnon Tully, the British Bulldogs, June Byers, Wild Bull Curry, Junkyard Dog, Cowboy Bob Ellis, Pampero Firpo, Black Gordman, and Great Goliath, Archie the Stumper Goldie, Hart Foundation, Sputnik Monroe, Dusty Rhodes and Dick Murdoch, the Texas Outlaws, Iron Sheik, Sweet Daddy Siki, Steamboat and Youngblood, Mad Dog and Butcher Vachon, and then, of course, Kerry, Kevin, and David Von Erich. Anybody, I don't want us to give our ballots today. We're going to preview it. Anybody, you get 6 votes, but anybody stick out to you on this one?
Yeah. First of all, I'm going to say a controversial take. I don't think Arn and Tully belong.
I'll
lay that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're overrated. They're only team for 2 years. I don't.
One of my favorite tag teams to watch, but yeah, they only wrestled for 2 years, and then Tully got busted for cocaine, and then they were done. And it was 1989, right? They were done. So
the 87 to 89, they were tag team. I'm gonna go. My first one that always sticks out to me is Sputnik Monroe. I think Sputnik Monroe is such an important cultural figure in wrestling. When we get further to pushing, I was really heavy on Sputnik Monroe last year. I'm really going to push hard for Sputnik Monroe this year. I think as far as integration of pro wrestling in the South, he's a master in it. He was one of the first white wrestlers to really embrace black fandom, especially in the South. Kevin and David Von Erich, I think, is important. It got to me. Feeling the Vachons at first. I have to think about it more, but I'm feeling the Vachons right now.
Yeah, I would have to do some research on the Vachons. Kerry, Kevin, and David Von Erich. That's another one where their peak was so high, but man, was it it was only a couple of years. It was 81 to 83, into 84. So maybe actually 82 to mid 84.
I think it's late. I think you got to give it more. I think it's got to be more than 85 and 86.
Well, but David dies. But David's name is on it, and David dies in 84. You know?
Yeah, I think when I vote for the 3, I think my vote goes for the Von Erich in general, like that Von Erich wave. Yeah. I think maybe I'm wrong when I do this, but when I think about this, I think of Kerry, the whole family of what pro wrestling. And I think
so. You're like fucking Fritz and Doris too. You're all in.
Fritz was the booker, man. Horrible people. Don't get me wrong. They're important.
What about Chris, man? What about Chris? You think?
Fuck Chris. No.
The little shit.
Fuck that little shit.
So mean. I was setting you up. I knew you were gonna do it.
It's As long as you have a podcast with someone for years, they know exactly where you're going to go with something.
Yeah.
What do you think? Who do you like off that so far to start with?
So I think I voted for Cowboy Bob Ellis last year. I think I'm going to stick with that. And so just drawing power, like he just drew everywhere, and then everybody from his contemporaries. I think they're John Muse and Ethan Tyler talked about it on Wrestling Observer Radio on Friday, which I still haven't finished. I'm going to finish, John, I promise. That everybody of that era that drew about the same as he did is already in. I was just like, that makes sense to me. Now, of course, I've never seen the guy wrestle, so I don't know if he's good or not, but I just like, it's historical, right? Or yeah, it's historical. So a lot of the historical ones you have never seen before. So
I just found out isn't it Cowboy Bob Ellis? We thought he was alive, it turned he's been dead.
He's been dead for like 4 years or something like that, I think.
Yeah, we thought he was alive though until because Dave would always say still alive. It turned out he'd been dead since like 28.
Yeah, and I think John Muse is the one that found that out too. Like I think he did a bunch of research and found it out on Facebook. And
Dude,
yeah,
if you got some dirt, John Muse is gonna dig that shit up and like
oh yeah,
he's that shit.
Yeah. So where are you at with Ole Anderson on this list? Because I like it's historical performer candidate. But as would you put him in as a worker, or would you put him in, or should he be moved to the non-wrestler category? What do you think?
Oh, I'm hard on this one, man. I mean, I've come around. Ole was like in the late 70s, early 80s. Ole was pretty freaking awesome. As a performer, the ring for what he was, right? For the style of the era, and goddamn, was he a good, like, an epically good promo. I think. I'd almost rather vote him in as a non-wrestler because he has a vital role in the early 80s wrestling wars. I'm more willing to think about Ole than I was a year ago. They'll say that.
Yeah. Let me look at my ballot from last year. I did pull up my ballot. I want to see if I voted for him last year. I did vote for him last year. I did vote for him last year. I think I'm going to vote for him again this year. I don't think there's nobody new that I think is going to take him off of my ballot this year. Because what's that?
I think we argued about Ole last year on the show. Now that I think
we did. Yeah, we did. I think I just heard enough and I'd read enough to where I felt pretty good about putting him in. I'm going to do some more research on Bullet Bob Armstrong. I don't think I'm going to do the Hart Foundation. I love the Hart Foundation. I just don't think I'm there yet. I think these other guys got to get in. They had these super long runs. Like the Hart Foundation they had a good run. Don't get me wrong, but they weren't on top of WWF drawing tons of money. And Ole Anderson was a big draw in Georgia and other places. So.
Well, that was a huge draw in Alabama. Bob Armstrong's a big player in Georgia. So I think Bullet Bob's someone we could talk about. I'm gonna talk to Chris Zellner. I'm doing after next, so I'm gonna pick Chris Zellner.
Chris Zellner's a good guy to talk to about Bullet Bob for sure. And plus, in my opinion, he is the greatest to ever be a wrestling commissioner on a television show. I don't think I've ever seen anybody better than him.
I agree 100%. Commissioner Bob Armstrong was freaking awesome on Smokey Mountain. 100%.
He would come out and he would fine motherfuckers $500. And in 1992 in Knoxville, Tennessee, for wrestlers, that's a lot of damn money, man. Like it hurt them whenever he was finding when he would find the Heavenly Bodies $500 a piece. Like you knew that was a bad day at the office for those guys.
There's a heel turn by Bob Armstrong that he has. I want to say in like 81. I think that's when the heel turn happens. It's pretty awesome. Disgusting heel talking about his mistress and shit like that on TV. That's something I want to dig up, but we should actually watch that together. It's cool stuff.
Yeah, that we could do that on Patreon. That'd be cool. Yeah. All right, let's go to the modern performer candidates. We got the Briscoes, Edge, Bill Dundee was. I don't think Bill Dundee was on last year, but Dundee's interesting. I always think he'd be historical. FTR, Bill Goldberg, Samoa Joe, the Hardys, Becky Lynch, Drew McIntyre, Mercedes Moné, John Moxley, Hall and Nash, Randy Orton, CM Punk, Cody, Seth Rollins, Sabu. Sabu's interesting. Trish Stratus, and my favorites, Rick and Scott, the Steiner brothers. Anybody that stands out for you this year that you think you're just going to go to bat for?
I think that John Moxley, AEW's in a really bad spot. People claim to hate John Moxley. Business turned around with him on top of that death right. Right, the John Moxley AEW show for the better part of the year, and it was just lessened the bleeding over there. He's like been a stopgap. I think his matches are good. I don't understand why people hate John Moxley. And probably because he's been on top for too long over there. He redid his character. He did something interesting with it. I advocated for him last year. I think he belongs in this year. He became, in the latter half of the 2010s, he became the most important guy to leave WWE and make something of himself. Issue, and personally, for me, that's the guy that stands out.
Yeah, I did not vote for him last year, but I do think that I'm voting for him this year. I wasn't there yet last year, and then he ended up getting another title reign, and I thought it was a little rocky at first. To be honest with you, I thought the Death Riders, like at first, was not good, but by the end of it, they're in a baseball stadium selling out. And he puts over Hangman Adam Page. I was like, okay, you know what? I think it ended up working. So I think they turned that thing around and did a good job with it. I think I'm there this year with him. I don't see anybody that was added that would knock him off for me. So last year in this category, I voted for the Young Bucks. They're in. Matt and Jeff, Paul Orndorff, they're in. CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, and the Steiners. I'm probably sticking with the Steiners, Cody, CM Punk, and the Hardys. And you get 7. So that's what, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I got 3. I got 3 to add, and I think I'll probably go John Moxley. And then now I only got 2 spots, and I'm like, man, do I go? I'm not doing FTR yet. I love FTR, but I'm not doing them yet. I could be talked into Goldberg. I could definitely be talked into him. I don't think I'm going there with Edge. The Briscoes I could be talked into just because they never drew, but they were really fucking good for a long time and they won a ton of awards. So I love them.
I think arguing for draws in modern categories is a little overrated because nobody is a draw really. Very few people that draw your company. I think the Briscoes did draw money for Ring Up in comparison to what Ring Up Honor can. I think the Briscoes, I think Muse talked to me. Those were such a big deal in the independents. It's so important.
Yeah. What do you think about Sabu?
I think professional wrestler. I think without.
All right, you broke up. You were breaking up. So I'm just gonna jump in real quick. Yeah. I think what you were saying is he's probably the most influential wrestler of the last 30 years, or one of the most influential wrestlers. The high flying, the tables, the death matches. I think a lot of people copied his style over the years. Also, one of the most self-destructive wrestlers. And had he not been so self-destructive, he might have been like a guy in many different companies. He couldn't keep it together. But I think I might be in on him. I think I'm like, I could be talked into him, and I get the feeling that there's going to be some dissertations out there and some articles and some podcasts about Sabu, just about how historically significant he is. And I think that's where you would go with it, the historical significance. And I agree with you. I do think he's extremely influential in modern wrestling today.
I think he's one of the most important, the most important wrestlers in the 1990s as far as what he did to shape what wrestling became. Like, when a table comes out, that's Sabu. Right? We still do that. Through the table, but it wasn't a part of the act. the table was part of Sabu's act, right? It was Sabu drew across the planet, right? And he was very much his uncle's nephew. Like he did his business very much like the Sheik, right? And just in a different era. I just think the influence of Sabu is just too great to overlook.
Yeah, he has a great case, and I think there's going to be some articles written to argue on his behalf, and I cannot wait to read those. And I think our buddy John is probably coming out with one of those.
Oh, I can't wait to look.
Yeah.
If you actually follows over Sabu, I want to talk to him.
All right, non-wrestlers, we got Dave Brown, the weatherman, Zane Breslov, Bobby Bruns, Bob Caudle, Joe Higuchi, Jim Johnston, music guy, Larry Matisick, James Melby, Bill Mercer, Gorilla Monsoon, Rossi Ogawa, Reg Parks, Morris Siegel, Tony Schiavone, George Scott, Kevin Sullivan, Mike Tenay, Ted Turner, Jesse Ventura, that's a new one, Roy Welch, and Stanley Weston. Who sticks out to you on this one?
Turner, I voted for it again this year. And then the beginning, you mentioned somebody who I immediately forgot because you kept throwing that was a issue. Who was the first couple again?
Dave Brown, Zane Breslov, and Bobby Bruns.
Zane Breslov. Breslov is single-handedly responsible for the turnaround of WCW. Zane Breslov was a major Wrestling Federation's expansion era. The love that he deserves, and the man played a massive role in the latter half of the 20th century.
So last year I voted for Bobby Davis, of course, Larry Matisick, Tony Schiavone, Morris Siegel, Mike Tenay, Ted Turner, and Roy Welch. The only guy that made it last year out of those folks that I voted for was Bobby Davis. I'm interested in Jesse Ventura as a non-wrestler. Just for his, he was the top heel commentator. I know Roddy Piper came out before him, but I think Jesse Ventura really redefined what that was. And it was way bigger than Roddy Piper ever was as far as a heel commentator, not as a wrestler, but a heel commentator. Piper, a lot of people don't know that Piper started it in Georgia and did it there for a little bit. But Jesse, when he came in, like he just fucking ran with that thing, and he was in just so many more homes doing what he did, and he was doing it at such a high level. And did a great, and what first 6 WrestleManias, all the early Saturday nights main events, 33 million people for the Andre the Giant, winning the title, the big switcheroo with the Hebner brothers. I think he's got a good case. I think he's got an argument. I need to do some research on it. He came into WCW and he bombed essentially, but I don't think that outweighs what he was able to do in the WWF.
Jesse bombed WCW? I mean, how can you blame? I don't understand how you feel he bombed WCW.
The people that worked with him said that he was lazy. He didn't do any research. Eric Bischoff couldn't wait to get rid of him. Like Jim Ross couldn't stand him. Like that's what I mean. Like Jesse always entertained me, but he didn't really. They said that he didn't do anything to elevate the product. That was the knock on him in WCW.
I think that might just be some sour grapes for how much he was getting paid, to be quite honest with you.
Probably. Yeah.
Jesse was, when Jesse leaves, like everything you said about Jesse, they said about Bobby Heenan too. So what's the common denominator in that? You know what I'm saying?
Vincent Gorilla?
Well, when Bobby Heenan was in WCW, that was the exact same knockout.
Oh, yes. Okay.
I think the problem was WCW, right? And Eric Bischoff and those guys. I think Jesse's great, and Jesse was able to parlay. And I love Roddy Piper. I think Jesse was able to parlay being that heel commentator into a film career and into a legitimate governorship.
Yeah,
like that doesn't happen without him being like Jesse Ventura does not get there without being the body. So I think that Jesse Ventura is a really good case for it, actually.
Yeah, I think he's got a great case. Plus, he was in Predator.
Yeah,
I don't even know if I need to go on. Like he was in Predator.
I'm good. I'm sold.
Yeah, it's like I don't know if I need to sell anybody and then like fucking watch Predator and then get back to me and try to argue against it. And I'm sticking with my Mike Tenay vote. Garrett Kidney had a compelling case for him on Twitter. I mean, like the only other person to win as many Announcer of the Year awards as Mike Tenay is Jim Ross, and Jim Ross is in the Hall of Fame. And Mike Tenay was just in the second biggest promotion when he was doing that. And Mike Tenay was winning those awards when TNA was really bad a lot of the time. So, and WCW was bad too when he was. I think he might have won when he was in WCW. I have to do the research again. I have to go back and read some of my notes from last year. But I think I'm sticking with Tenay this year. I don't see anybody that's going to come in and knock him off. But I'm pretty sure I'm adding Jesse Ventura. I think I'm there with him.
I'm in with Jesse. Good call.
All right. Grand Wizard and Koichi Yoshizawa. I totally missed those guys. They were on the next page. My bad. Sorry, everybody. But I'm not voting for Grand Wizard. Sorry.
He was the other manager. No.
Yeah. Let's see. Gerard says SRS also had to talk to Kenny about his comment because Gail speaks out against WWE plenty of times. Yes, she does. King of the North is back. Says, look at these fucking guys. I got to give a big shout out to King. He saved my bacon the other night because, I grew up in a trailer, right, JD? Like I'm like kind of trailer park guy, and I could be a bit of a meathead at times, bit of a not the most sensitive person in the world. Also was in the military for 21 years, and I don't, I have a bit of a macho personality at times. I didn't take Masha Slamovich beating up her boyfriend very seriously. I was just like, oh, like that's not that big of a deal. But at the time I didn't know that she was hitting him with frying pans and all kinds of other shit. I didn't know that. So he like got in my DMs. He's like, Mike, you need to delete these tweets because you're an idiot. And I was like, thank you. I didn't know the rest of it. I didn't see how bad it was. And it got really dark there for a while too. In those text messages, like, oh shit, I need to scale this back.
Bro, I'll be honest. I consider myself a fairly tough guy. If my wife clocked me with a frying pan, my ass would drop. Like, so yes. I'm kind
of... Yeah, I didn't know she hit him with a frying pan when I was saying that. I was like, a woman slapping her dumbass boyfriend around is like Wednesday in my neighborhood. It's not that big of a deal to me. Other way around, very big deal. But if like the wife is doing it to the dumbass husband, it's like, oh, okay, like Rita's just going off the rails again, but she'll be fine tomorrow, like that kind of stuff. So, but thankfully I have good people in my life to tell me when I'm being stupid. But he also said start Mac Jones. You know what? I think Brock Purdy's still injured, and his passes were sailing on him today. He kept throwing it over everybody's heads through 2 interceptions and had a fumble and lost the game. What a dick that guy is. Keep It Wolfson said Jim Johnston deserves it. I mean, his music did play a big part of WWF, but I don't think any of the music's particularly very good. I thought CFO was better.
I do agree with that. I'll be honest with you, man. You think of the biggest WWF in that era, didn't have a Jim Johnson. Randy Savage didn't have a Jim Johnson song. Yeah. Demolition didn't. Warrior did. That's about it. Like,
yeah, he did Warrior and Undertaker and Vader, and I think Shawn Michaels was done by Jimmy Hart.
Yes, Jimmy Hart. So I think somebody's Jim Johnson gets a lot of credit for some of the stuff that Jimmy Hart actually did. Like Brett's theme song, that was Jimmy Hart. So I mean, like, I think Jim Johnson's overrated, personal opinion.
Yeah. King says, JD, I had to tell him she hit him with a frying pan before he woke up. Yeah, that's what turned me around. I thought she just smacked him, but no, it was like the frying pan is what did it for me. I was like, oh shit, like you can kill a dude with a frying pan. Yeah,
that's she needs some therapy, man. That's true. That's pretty
so. Yeah, her boyfriend Akira kind of like so. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of drug addict accusations out there too, and like seeing some of the tweets and stuff. And doing some of the work that I've done throughout my life, I would tend to agree that she might be. That's not for me to say. That's her decision. But she might need to get some help for that and probably for some anger issues. And look, I'm one of those guys. You know me, JD. I don't throw people away, especially if they're young and they just got some problems, even if it's anger problems. I think that she could probably come back for it. But then again, like, yes, I am a macho meathead, but I'm also a big softie. I like to accept people back in. I always think that the prodigal son can return, the prodigal daughter can return. Hopefully she gets the help she needs, and she's back in pro wrestling one day.
2 weeks ago on the show, I lamented Lane Staley's death because people wrote him off as just an addict. This was 20 some odd years ago. So, like, I'm a firm believer that if people have problems, they can. Hope she does.
Yeah. Yep. Same here. All right, guys. It is getting late. It is 11:30 p.m. for me. I do have to get up early in the morning. I got to go to work. So that's going to do it for us this week on the Mike and JD Show. Please subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/the Mike and JD Show. And until next time, mahalo.
Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you watch your A game. A made no rain from the track when we unite and spit. This is an A game, better bring your A game. Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you watch your A game.